Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming to Wilson's Celebration of Life. Marty and I are truly sorry that we can't be there, but COVID has us confined to the house in Charleston. I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. A day like today always makes us think about heaven would be like. And I had a vision the other day of what heaven would be like for Wilson, and I thought I would share it with you. My vision started with a band of angels coming to get him. There were no halos, no wings. Each angel was dressed in a Tommy Bahama outfit of a different color. You see, God has a sense of humor, and Wilson liked that. When he got to the pearly gates, St. Peter met him in a double-breasted blue Ralph Lauren blazer, white slacks, and alligator loafers. Wilson looked at St. Peter and said, those gates are kind of rusty and squeaky. If you've got some WD-40, I'll come back and work on them when I'm settled in. St. Peter just smiled. He gave Wilson a set of plans and told him that because he claimed he had won more cornhole tournaments in the Abacos than anyone else, he would be in charge of constructing the first stadium for cornhole championships in heaven. You see, God knew that Wilson always had to have a project going on. His guide took him to his new house. He was met in the driveway by Rosie and every other dog he had ever owned, even Shasta, the Dalmatian devil dog. He went in. The house was decorated in Ralph Lauren with just a touch of Mexico. Wilson's initials were on everything. Of course, he went directly to his closet and found everything in precise color-coded order. The closet was full, but nothing was out of place. He went outside and saw a boat at the end of his dock, and he turned to the angel and he said, "That looks like Lamar's boat." The angel smiled and said, "It's like Lamar's boat, but we made yours 2 feet longer than his." Wilson smiled again. God knew that Wilson was competitive. They went to the garage. When the door opened, Wilson saw a wall full of fishing gear, a wall full of Yeti gear, and a wall full of every tool that Lowe's had ever sold. In the middle of the garage, there was a 1959 MG convertible, a brand new Tesla truck, and a backhoe. You see, God knew how Wilson liked to get around. When they were finished, the angel was getting ready to leave, and he asked Wilson if he had any questions. Wilson said, I kind of thought Maya would be here. She is here, isn't she?" The angel got a real worried look on his face. Wilson asked, "What's wrong?" The angel said, "Mayo is here. She called and woke me up first thing this morning and said that if I did not have you at her house by 5 o'clock to fix her scotch, there would be hell to pay for both of us. We're 5 minutes late." You see, there is a little bit of heaven on earth and earth in heaven. My vision ended there. And it's kind of what I thought heaven would be like for Wilson. But on a more serious note, we have eternal life if we have influenced someone else's life. Wilson touched many people in his own way. You would not be here today if he had not touched your life in some way. He was not a joiner or a public figure. He preferred to use his talents to help people individually. If you were willing to help yourself, he was willing to help you. All of you are here today because he shared some part of your life with you, helped you in some way, and probably made your life better. Wilson had a style of his own. He wore clothes and colors that no other man could get away with. Having his own style was reflective of how he lived his life. More than most men, he did it his way. He never had a bad-looking car, boat, store, home, or yard. He simply did not accept ugly, and he could improve the looks of anything he touched. He was at his best with his dogs. His love for them and their love for him knew no bounds. Wilson was curious, and he loved to learn, as long as it didn't involve reading a book. When I gave him a copy of Marley and Me, a book about a man and his dog, he said it was the first book he had read since Miss Wiggs and the Cabbage Patch in the 3rd grade. I believe he was telling the truth. Wilson preferred to learn from people, and he studied people. I remember watching him look at the Reverend Billy Graham on TV, not for Reverend Graham's message, but because he thought he could learn something about sales. He was innately a salesman. It's probably a good thing he did not become a preacher of the prosperity gospel. He would have put Reverend Creflo Dollar to shame. Wilson's sense of perfection was not based on obsessive orderliness, but was more about things just being where they were supposed to be, to look their best. He had an innate sense of beauty and where things belonged. Those are gifts he passed on to his children. He found the beauty in everyday life and the world around him, not in museums or galleries. Under his exuberance, there lay a staunch stoicism. He took what life sent his way without complaint or blame or taking credit. He simply focused on making the next day better. Mayo taught us that there was nothing that we couldn't do if we worked hard enough, and that we were not entitled to anything. Wilson lived his life by what she taught him, and he expected others to do the same. What we can learn from his life is to work hard and to find beauty in the world around us, and be grateful for both the work and the beauty. I never heard him speak out of fear or regret. He lived in the here and now, not the past or the future. That allowed him to get the most out of life. Like me, most of you will have had at least a moment where something happened recently that reminded you of Wilson. For me, I heard a song, a Tim McGraw song on the radio that I'd never heard before. The title was, "I May Be a Real Bad Boy, but I'm a Really Good Man." It could not have described Wilson better. He'll always be with us. When you see an orchid, someone waves at you from a boat, or you pass a car with a dog hanging out the window, you'll think of him. For me, he was my rock. I always knew that he would be there if I needed him, no matter what the circumstance. And I knew that he would never ask for anything in return for his assistance. Helping was how he showed his love to me and to you. Thank you for listening and celebrating his life today. And I hope this afternoon that you'll raise a toast to a real bad boy who was a really good man. Have a great afternoon.